claims that an Apollo worker found evidence that ancient alien cities exist on our moon and NASA fired him. The mysteries around the moon have been circulating after the first Apollo mission. Did the first crew really encounter aliens there? First, many people still believe that NASA has never gone, but a majority strongly supports the 6 lunar landing missions. In reference to the missions, NASA whistleblowers claimed that the agency is hiding a secret of artificial structures on the moon. Among them, Dr. Ken Johnson claimed that NASA knows that astronauts discovered ancient alien cities and the remains of incredibly advanced machinery on the moon. Some of these technologies can manipulate gravity, he claims. Dr. Ralph Kennedy Johnson, Sr. was born at Fort Sam Houston U.S. Air Corps Base in San Antonio, Texas in 1942. He was one of the 4 civilian astronaut consultant pilots at NASA who trained Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, Michael Collins for Apollo 11 mission. Additionally, Dr. Ken Johnston is a retired aerospace engineer, formerly active duty U.S. Marine, and known as a NASA whistleblower. He refuses the term whistleblower, as he says that what he did was providing the public with first-hand information that they deserve to know. He refused to strictly follow orders and destroy a nearly complete collection of 8 by 10 glossy photo prints from the Apollo program. These photos are not available from NASA at this time and are of higher resolution than what is found online. In the last 40 years, other scientists, engineers, and technicians have accused NASA of cover-ups and data withholding. There is a growing number of people who accuse the agency of withholding information about anomalous space objects and lying about discovering artifacts on the surface of the moon and also Mars, denying evidence of life reported by the Viking probe in the mid-1970s. According to Dr. Johnston, the Apollo astronauts brought back photographic evidence of the artifacts they found during their extravehicular activities on the moon. Johnston claimed that NASA ordered to destroy the EVA images of the Jet Propulsion Laboratory JPL, but he refused. When he went public, he was fired from the agency, he said. In the 2007 press release, Kay Ferrari, JPL's director of the SSA program, asked Dr. Johnston to resign. It was Johnston being quoted as criticizing NASA in Hoagland's new book, Dark Mission, that prompted her to ask for Johnston's resignation from the SSA program. When Dr. Johnson refused, citing First Amendment protections of free speech afforded all NASA employees, even those at JPL, Ferrari apparently decided to remove him arbitrarily from the SSA program, as stated in the press release. After his abrupt departure, he indicated that he was tired of the U.S. government sitting on evidence for more than 4 decades, evidence that ancient alien cities exist on the moon. The low-quality pictures included in the book depict ruins of buildings, huge dome-like objects made of glass, stone towers, and castles hanging in the air. I have nothing to lose. I have quarreled with NASA and I got fired, Ken Johnston said. His credibility? American space journalist James Oberg continued to attack Dr. Johnston despite he provided his credentials, certificates, and awards, including his doctoral certificate from the Reformed Baptist Theology Seminary of Denver, granted in 1985. From his ridiculous accusations that Dr. Johnston was not in charge of the photographs in his possession at NASA's Lunar Receiving Laboratory to attacking the doctorate itself, Oberg has been inexplicably, for a guy who says he wants to move on to other things, persistent. And by his own account, Oberg had been burning up the phone lines trying to find something to discredit a man he had known for over 30 years, while continuing to pretend he had never even met Dr. Johnston. Otherwise, Dr. Johnston logged about 3,000 hours as a space pilot without ever going into space, As a test conductor, he helped train all of the lunar landing mission astronauts to fly the lunar module. And when the first landing on the moon ended, about 30,000 employees were laid off because research and development were no longer needed, he said. After that, he became the Data and Photo Control Department manager at the Lunar Receiving Laboratory, where he was responsible for controlling all the data and photographic information generated from the lunar missions. And Dr. Ken Johnston regarding aliens. On his visit to Hindustan International School and University in India in 2017, he shared a lot about the Apollo missions and aliens with the New Indian Express. They asked him, "Do you believe that aliens exist?" He said, "Yes, don't you? Your ancient history suggests that extraterrestrials came to our planet. Back in 1958, we unearthed proof that Eisenhower did meet with extraterrestrials. There's so much evidence, not only to prove that there are aliens, but also that they have an impact on this planet." Next question, how did you develop an interest in aliens and space? And he said, back in those days, I would watch series like Buck Rogers in the 25th Century and Flash Gordon. I wanted to go to space. My father was a pilot, and I wanted to be one too, he said. And the question to him, and then when you went on to train Neil Armstrong, he said, not just Neil Armstrong. We were a team of 4, and our job was to test the lunar mission module in the vacuum chambers to ensure that the systems were safe to be taken to space. In the process, we trained Neil, Buzz, and Michael to land it on the moon, he said. And next question, what is your take on the moon landing? Faked or controversy? And he said, and he laughed, and he said, we still have people who think that the Earth is flat. Once a reporter told Buzz Aldrin that he didn't go to the moon and he punched him. Even the latest satellite pictures show the same lunar footprints. How did you manage to get first-hand information about extraterrestrials? And he said, once we were done with the first 3 missions, I was put in charge of photographing and documenting their exact location. One day my boss ordered me to destroy these images. I reminded him that the government had paid for them and that they should be made public, to which he replied, no, get rid of it, I don't care what you think. But why? Because there were elements in the pictures that were unexplainable. You can now download them for free from my website. You can see the lunar anomalies too. It looks like something has been smudged out. Way before Photoshop, they would paint things out. And once, when I walked into the photo lab, I saw a woman painting something out. She called herself a stripper and said that she was paid for it. This really upset me because I was in charge of keeping a record of things. I guess that's why they called me a whistleblower. How transparent is NASA? And he said, people like me who've gotten into trouble with NASA have a different expansion for the acronym, never a straight answer. And this is on House and Wise by Vicky Verma. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support, and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.